eyes, and laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and partial affections, the result of all our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion and justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the Queen, the public weal, peace and tranquility of the island, and the uniting and knitting together of the hearts of all persons and estates within the same, in true Christian love and charity, one towards another, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
This Honourable House now resumes its sitting. Call of the roll.
Passing through.
Mrs. Holness, Mr. Bartlett, Mr. Holness, Dr. Clark, Dr. Chang, Mr. Montague, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Samuda, Ms. Grange, Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Mallow-Fort, Dr. Tufton, Mr. Mackenzie, Mr. Chuck, Mr. Vaz, Mr. Warmington, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Charles, Mr. Terry Long, Ms. Smith, Mr. Main, Dr. Dunn, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Morgan, Mr. Davis, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown-Burke, Dr. Charles, Mr. Chin, Mr. Clark, Mr. Cousins, Ms. Crawford, Ms. Daly, Ms. Davis, Mr. Golding, Mr. Graham, Mr. Green, Dr. Guy, Ms. Hamilton, Ms. Hannah, Mr. Henry Kitts, Mr. Henry, Mr. Hylton, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Lee, Mr. Miller, Mr. Miller, Ms. Morrison, Mrs. Nita Garvey, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Dr. Phillips, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Sibbles, Mr. Slowly, Mrs. Vaz, Dr. Wheatley, Mrs. Vaz is here, Mr. Williams, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Witter, Mr. Wright. Hold on, Mr. Green.
Just before we begin the agenda, first of all, I see Dr. Phillips here with us. Want to welcome you. It's always nice to have you. And I mean that sincerely. It is nice to have you. Good to see you. And of course, it would be remiss of me as a female not to congratulate the first female chairman of the People's National Party. Of course, you know, you're trailing behind the footsteps of the Jamaica Labour Party, where Rose Leon was way ahead. But always, it's nice for you to join us. So, we will.
Madam Speaker, first of all, permission to speak from a seat.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for your kind welcome, but I would also like, if you would permit, for me to say thanks for the very kind expressions that have been extended, not only by you, but through the clerk who conveyed to me the sentiments of the House. I have served here for longer than I can remember, which is some 24, 25 years. And I have always appreciated the good relations that I've enjoyed with members on both sides of the aisle. And I want to thank them all. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, the permission to speak from a seat other than my own first. And secondly, I will be acting House Leader for the afternoon. The House Leader and the Deputy are away, but we expect the Deputy Leader may be back even before we finish. I also, Madam Speaker, would like to join with you in congratulating the member from Southwest, St. Andrew, on her election as chairman of the People's National Party, and also to welcome again Dr. Phillips, and hope we'll see you more often. Madam Speaker, the business of the House today will be fairly concentrated on the constituency debate, but when we get there, I will do the legal aid regulations just before.
Very well, members. Statement. Ministers, announcements.
Laid on the table of the House today are the following. Ministry Paper number 78 of 2021 entitled Annual Report on Audited Financial Statement of the Agro-Investment Corporation for the year ended March 31, 2017. Agro-Investment Corporation Annual Report for 2016-2017. Annual Report on Audited Financial Statement of the Culture, Health, Arts, Sports and Education, Chase Fund for the financial year 2021-2022. Annual Report on Audited Financial Statement of the Toll Authority for the financial year 2019-2020. And Special Report to Parliament on the status of statutory declarations. Please hold. And also laid on the table of the House today is a copy of the legal aid. The legal aid amendment should be number 2, Regulations 2021.
Bills brought from the Senate, petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move, be it resolved that the Legal Aid Amendment Regulations number 2, 2021, which were laid on the table of the House on the 2nd day of November 2021, be referred to the Regulations Committee of the House of Representatives for consideration and a report. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion.
Questions and answers to questions.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the expiration of 21 days, I will ask the Minister of Labour and Social Security the following questions.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the expiration of 21 days, I'll ask the Prime Minister and the Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation the following questions in my name.
Madam Speaker, I beg to deal with a matter, question 10, on the order paper that's due for answering today, laid by the member from Southeast St. Andrew on behalf of the member from Northwest Manchester. Madam Speaker, the subject matter of the question is being reviewed by the Integrity Commission, which, as you know, is a commission of Parliament. I therefore crave the indulgence of the Honourable House in allowing for that process to be completed and the outcome presented to the Parliament.
Madam Speaker, I understand that the Minister himself, that the matter is with the Integrity Commission, but we feel strongly that matters that are dealt with by the Integrity Commission doesn't stop us or the Minister himself from answering certain questions that have been tabled here by myself. Because this is a matter, Madam Speaker, that is of national importance. It is not a matter that is in front of the court that will prejudice any decision that the court may make if it's not sub judice. All right? Thank you. So, you know, as much as the Minister has in his statement, we still feel, and I want to make it publicly for the Hansard, that this is a matter that I think that the people of Jamaica would want to hear on. And this is a matter that the Minister himself has not said a word on this matter at all. Because if you are to look at even item 5, if the Minister had even met with his team from the AAJ before they had a board meeting, it is a matter that is neither here nor there if it is in front of the Integrity Commission. So we are not happy on this side, and I'm sure that those who would want to hear from the Minister would not be happy. But we hope that the Integrity Commission itself doesn't take as long a time to table this report. But I'm stating publicly, Madam Speaker, that we would have wished that the Minister could have at least answered these questions. And if there is anything that would prejudice, then we understand. But we're not happy that is the decision of the Ministry.
Member, you wanted to say something?
I wanted clarity. I wanted to find out if the Minister is saying that the questions will be answered after the Integrity Commission completes its report, or the questions are not going to be answered because the Integrity Commission is probing the matter. Madam Speaker, having looked at those questions, while I respect the view of the Minister, it has no bearing on the work of the Integrity Commission. These are questions which are in the public interest, which are totally separate and apart from an investigation that is commenced by the Integrity Commission. And I don't think there's anything that the Minister will say that can prejudice that. If the matter was before a court, that's a different matter. But the matter is not before a court. And I believe the public deserves answers. The Integrity Commission process could take a year, it could take more, we don't know. And I don't believe the public should be held in the dark because of that. I don't find that response acceptable at all.
All right. Member, what they say, good things, all good things come to those of us who wait. And I heard member when he says he's not happy with the response, and I have listened to the member who just spoke. But it is my own view that there are 7 commissions of Parliament, and the Integrity Commission is one of those 7 commissions. It is accountable to us at Parliament, and therefore any finding that they make will be made public because it will be tabled in this House. I think as members of Parliament, we all have a great respect for the work of the Integrity Commission. And if in fact they are inquiring into a matter, their section 34(1) sets out the functions of a director of corruption and prosecutions. And 1E, I think it is, says it performs prosecutorial functions relating to acts of corruption and 34(2) speaks to the fact that it has the same powers and functions to prosecute as does the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. And therefore, they are investigating, they are inquiring into what the questions have spoken to, and I do believe that in good time, the Integrity Commission will table before us what is there. So out of deference and respect to the Integrity Commission and the work they're doing and the standing orders as it stands, I believe that we ought to wait until their inquiry. And we would not like to have any discussion in this Parliament that would in any way color, taint, go ahead of, stand beside, or go behind the findings of the Integrity Commission. I also believe that the Commission is working, will work, and will work speedily, and their report into this matter will be tabled before with us without.
Madam Speaker, this is a very important issue. Not just the issues raised by the questions themselves, which are important, and the matters of public interest. And the questions are questions of fact. They want to know what are the facts, which a minister ought to be in a position to answer after he makes due inquiry through his powers as minister. The whole question of in what circumstances the right of a member to elicit facts about the public affairs of the country through the formal questioning process, the circumstances in which that may be restricted is fundamental. And this is something I've looked at in the past. And it relates to issues which are before the court and the sub judice rule. Now, the fact that the Integrity Commission is doing an investigation doesn't fall within the province of that exception. And it is true that the Integrity Commission has a Director of Corruption Prosecutions with powers to prosecute.
Yes.
But there's no reason to think that this particular investigation will go that route. This is a matter being investigated by the investigatory branch of the Integrity Commission. And that could take any amount of time, and it ought not to circumscribe or limit the powers of a parliamentarian to invoke the questions procedure provided in the standing orders. It is not an exception to that procedure. And I think we're going down a dangerous and wrong path by attempting to forestall that process in the name of some parliamentary commission, in this case, Integrity Commission, having entered on the reference, if they have. And the minister has indicated that they have. As you know, they're not empowered by law to say whether or not they have done. But at this point, I would say before you make a ruling, Madam Chair, I would love the counsel, the legal counsel to Parliament, to opine on this matter, based on the standing orders of Parliament, and to the extent there's any gap, the learning from Erskine and May. Because I think it is a very fundamental issue which goes to the transparency of dealings and good governance in our country. And I don't think that we should forestall a proper procedure, an important procedure of public accountability by saying that because some statutory body is looking at it, Parliament has to hold its hand and step back and wait. Because, as I said, the public has an interest in knowing the answer to those questions. And those are questions of fact. They're not questions of judgment. They're questions of fact, and they should be answered, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, may I just say that I do support the position that you have taken, and to say to the leader of the opposition, to the member who asked the question, the questions, as I looked at them, are really questions, to the best of my understanding, that would be before the Integrity Commission. So why are we duplicating the process? As I see it, these questions as to the purchase of shares, why they were purchased, have they been sold, are simple questions, Madam Speaker, which we expect the Integrity Commission would send us a report within a matter of weeks. And in those circumstances, Madam Speaker, what the minister is asking for, since the matter is before the Integrity Commission, let the Integrity Commission just report to Parliament and if any of the questions have not been answered by the Commission's report, then he's quite prepared to answer those additional questions. But it's obvious from the questions that must be what the Integrity Commission is looking at. Well, what else could they be looking at? So, Madam Speaker, I would ask that we urge, and what could be done, Madam Speaker? From where you sit, Madam Speaker, you could ask the Integrity Commission to try to report on this matter as soon as possible.
Members, Leader of the Opposition, I respect your views, and it really is a sensitive matter, and I do believe the public requires answers. Those answers will be made, but I am more inclined to the way that the person who brought the questions answered it. He did say, when he stood up and spoke, that he was not happy with this approach, but he was willing to wait. The questions are brought by him until this report is brought. And, you know, I'm thinking that the questions, the answers that the Integrity Commission is inquiring into, and if we go ahead now and start a question and answer and debated it, we're really defeating the mandate that the Integrity Commission has to inquire into the matter. So I'm going to say to you, I will take the advice of the Leader of the Opposition. I will write to them, and I will leave heavily on the member who brought the questions, who said he's not happy, but he's prepared to wait on the report. And you know, I say all the time, Christmas is coming. Somebody will get a lovely present. I'm sure the Integrity Commission is going to make a fulsome report, as is the way they operate, and we look forward to that. And as I said, I'm going to take on the advice of the acting leader of government business this afternoon to write and ask them to do so in a
Madam
timely
Speaker,
fashion.
sorry, Leader, and just coming from the point of the Leader of the Opposition, because even this matter itself also affects our committee sittings also. Committee sittings, because many a times that there are matters that are at the Integrity Commission that committees are hearing, and it becomes a tug of war between government members and opposition members too, because there's a stance that it is being seen or heard or investigated by the Integrity Commission. So it is a matter that as a parliament we can't. So where the instance or the example that the opposition leader spoke about in having us decide on a procedure that when things are in front of the Integrity Commission, what prevents us as a parliament in hearing answers from ministers or even deliberating? So I'm not saying that in this matter, but going forward, it has to be dealt with, because there's a fine line that stalls natural justice, if you want of a word.
Member, I want to thank you. I think your approach is correct. I think there is a procedure going forward, but I think as it stands here today, we respect the views you have, and as also the views by the leader and the other, but the questions answered in your name, and you have quietly said, correctly said, going forward. For now, my ruling on the matter is that the Integrity Committee is a committee that I think all members of Parliament have a lot of respect for. They do thorough and good work. I will write to them to ask them to, as hastily as ever, but for this afternoon, my ruling on the matter is that we will await the outcome of the findings by the Integrity Commission.
Madam Speaker,
yes.
I think the idea of you writing to them to tell them how to do their work, whether
I'm
to
not
hurry
going
up,
to.
I don't think that's appropriate.
Okay.
My own view is, as I've said already, the standing orders and procedures of Parliament provide for a way of getting facts on matters in the public domain of public interest. There are exceptions to that which are set out in the standing orders and in Erskine and May, and they relate to matters which are before the court. This matter is not a matter that is before the court. And I think we're going down a dangerous path where the Speaker and the government side say we can't ask anything in this domain because that particular body is looking at it. That body is going to be looking at it and drawing conclusions as to whether or not acts of corruption were committed or other malfeasance took place or maladministration took place.
Are all about?
Our questions are simply questions of fact, A, B, C, D, and they should be answered unless there's a basis in law, in the standing orders and the procedures of Parliament for them not to be answered. And none has been presented. And I reiterate, Madam Speaker, let the Council to Parliament opine on this matter because it's going to come up again and again. And we ought to have clarity as to in what circumstances a member's questions can be deferred or not answered. And it shouldn't just be because somebody thinks it's a bad idea. Let us see what the proper position is. That's why we have an attorney paid for Parliament's benefit. Let us get their opinion on the matter, ma'am.
Leader of the Opposition, I understand your views. I respect them. There is a standing orders committee that this matter can be referred to, and I hear what you have said, but I do believe, and maybe I also take your advice, that it is not appropriate for me to write to the Integrity Committee, so I will not write to them. But I am ruling this evening that the questions won't be answered, and I'm thinking this is a matter that, as you have correctly said, we should direct to the Standing Orders Committee for movement forward.
One final point, just please. To reiterate a point raised by my colleague. As the chair of the PAC, there have been some reports done by the Auditor General, which have been tabled in this House. I don't know whether the Integrity Commission has commenced investigations into any of those reports. They may or they may not. Once the MDA responds, the PAC will sit to meet. So if the principle that is being applied here to these questions, then the PAC is going to have a problem dealing with those matters. So I'm just saying it is very important. It is a very fundamental issue here that we get proper guidance in terms of how we proceed.
And we will get proper guidance. My ruling stands for this evening. I agree and I take the points made by all members and in particular that made by the Leader of the Opposition. I am going to refer the matter to the Standing Orders Committee, and that is how the matter will be dealt with for this evening.
Just a bit of clarification, I think, on that matter. Mention was made of the Legislative Council proffering an interpretation and legal advice, which is the remit of the position that we created in this Parliament to guide us legally. Will that consultation or that formal request be made for that opinion?
That will be made in conjunction with it moving forward to the committee. What I propose to do is to take the advice of everybody so that we as members have full clarity on the matter going forward.
Madam Speaker, just finally, as you will realize that this is a matter that is ongoing, it's continuous. Is there a time frame that you will set for that committee to meet and indicate what the ruling is? Otherwise, it could be almost deferred indefinitely.
Member, as the Speaker of the House, it is my duty to make sure that we operate in a proper fashion with clear understanding as to the standing orders, and we move as swiftly as we can so that all the matters that ought to be aired in the interest of justice is done. And I give you my word that that is how I will approach this situation.
Within a month or so then, Speaker.
I said that, you heard what I just said. I am not no man is an island here, but I have given you my word that I will do all that I can to make sure that this matter moves forward swiftly. Thank you. Is it on this matter, Madam Member?
Just, sorry, Madam Speaker, this document that you've tabled in the House to us on the Integrity Commission, it's not dated by you. Can we ask that it just be dated and as the Speaker of the House?
Just to let you, for clarification, if you want to have a look at the file copy is dated. Where's the file copy? Please have a copy of the file copy copied for the member. The file copy is dated. So please make a copy of the file copy that is dated for the member, please. It's dated, it's right here. Have the front page. Madam Clerk, please have it copied for the member. Okay, members, motions that be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice, motions relating to sittings of the House, motions for leave to introduce bills, presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained, public business.
Madam Speaker, as I indicated, there's a short matter which I will take, the Legal Aid Amendment Regulation number 2. And it is number 2, Madam Speaker, because number 1 was taken on the 28th of September and the Regulations Committee reported on the 12th of October 2021. Madam Speaker, the reason for number 2 is that soon after the matter was dealt with in the House, the attorneys sought, and I accorded them a meeting. So the attorneys and myself met, and they indicated their disappointment with what was dealt with in Legal Aid Regulations 1. Obviously, in discussions with them, I informed them that legal aid is basically not the normal fees that you pay private retainer. And they must also understand that indeed in legal aid it's a contribution that attorneys make towards indigent clients, persons who can't afford a lawyer. But to be fair, Madam Speaker, the attorneys did express a position which was persuasive that these complex matters, gang trials, could go beyond the normal legal aid. So, Madam Speaker, you will see where, in fact, even though we have doubled the rates for normal offenses, when I say normal, all the other offenses, because a murder trial and illegal possession of firearm, apart from the mentioned date, the trial date may not last more than a week or 2. But as we have found out, Madam Speaker, these gang trials could take...
Member, just before you continue, can I just ask you first of all to seek permission for the House for the suspension of the standing orders to enable you?
Madam Speaker, I should have known better. Madam Speaker, I now move for the suspension of standing orders to enable me to take the motion, notice of which I gave earlier.
The question before the House is that the standing orders be suspended to allow the Minister to take the motion, notice of which he gave earlier. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it. Minister, you can...
Yes, sorry, thanks, Madam Speaker, and sorry for that procedural lapse. So, in meeting with the attorneys, Madam Speaker, I did emphasize to them that it is a contribution they're making towards and to assist indigent clients. But, Madam Speaker, to be fair, they indicated that many of them are single practitioner, and when they go beyond a month or 2, at a certain point, it becomes burdensome. And these complex matters, Madam Speaker, and it is where we say 6 or more accused persons, that yes, it could take a few months. But when you look at the present one, Madam Speaker, where we have 33 accused, the likelihood is that if it goes on, it may take several months. And so, Madam Speaker, I was moved to take the matter back to Cabinet. And Cabinet was gracious to say, we can do a little better, or I could do a little better. So we have added 50,000 more to the monthly rate. But more importantly, Madam Speaker, we have detailed what constitutes a month. And also, Madam Speaker, we have removed the cap of 6 months, because if the matter goes on for 9 months, then the attorneys would have worked in 3 months without any remuneration. So what we have done, Madam Speaker, is to increase the first month from 300,000 to 350,000 for senior attorneys, 200,000 to 250,000 for junior attorneys, and subsequent months 250,000 and 150,000. The question may be asked, Madam Speaker, why do we give an extra 100,000 for the first month? It is because by the time the trial starts, the attorneys would have had several mention dates. So an extra 100,000 is given for the first month, but thereafter, for senior attorney, there's 250,000 per month, and junior 150,000 per month. There's no doubt, Madam Speaker, there are many persons who will say this is high. But in the scheme of things, Madam Speaker, this represents less than 15 or 20% what an attorney would earn. So the contribution, this is a contribution, Madam Speaker, and in the circumstances, we're saying the government is able to put this forward to assist indigent clients, especially those in these gang trials. And I am happy to report, Madam Speaker, that Cabinet supported the request, and I have had discussion with the Legal Aid Council, and based on the fact that we are saying that we will pay at the end of each calendar month. We won't wait until the trial is over. So at the end of each calendar month, we will pay, and if the attorneys are in court for at least 15 days for the month, they will get the full month. If it's less than 15 months, they will be paid pro rata. Less than 15 days, sorry. Less than 15 days, they will be paid pro rata. Because the maximum number of days per calendar month would be 22. Once you go between 15 and 22, they get the full amount. If it is less than 15 days, it's pro rata. So, Madam Speaker, with these, I do ask for the House to approve the new Legal Aid Regulations number 2.
Madam Speaker, when the first attempt was made to do this a week or two ago, I had pointed out that the wording on how the calculation would be made was ambiguous. And I can see now an attempt has been made to clarify and remove that ambiguity. I must say, though, I think it could be clearer than it is, because it says, when you say shall apply pro rata, I think it would be useful to say that what that really means is the number of trial days is the numerator and 15 is the denominator. Because you yourself said the maximum potential number of trial days is 22. So I don't want there to be any argument as to how the prorating is to take place. So for Hansard's benefit, if you would confirm that the understanding is that if there are less than 15 trial days in the month, that the person would be paid by apportioning the monthly rate by a fraction, the numerator of which is the number of trial dates in the month, and the denominator of which is 15. And I think if that is recorded in Hansard as your understanding, that is something that can be referred to by the Legal Aid Council to clarify any claim. The other point I'd make, Minister, is the regulations are not referred to as number 2 regulations, which they should be, because the ones that were brought here before were approved. So those are now being superseded by another set of regulations here, but the regulations seem to have the same name as the ones that were brought the last time around. Whereas
he said number 2 when he read, Leader.
I'm just saying the regulations don't say number 2, ma'am. It says that these regulations may be cited as the Legal Aid Amendment Regulations 2021. They ought to say number 2 regulations in the name. So that needs to be fixed.
Very well.
That needs to be fixed. Madam Speaker, the bigger point is, of course, the fact that we now have anti-gang legislation in the country, and it is being used. And we know that the vast majority of murders in the country are committed by gangs and are gang-related murders. That's the data that we're always being told. And we have had a number of trials. There's one going on now, which are complex matters with multiple defendants, multiple lawyers involved, remote witnesses, and a great deal of care and attention has to be taken in trying those matters. We've had trials where the trials have collapsed because there was really one witness and that witness wasn't seen to be credible. And of course, it's a learning curve for the prosecutors who prosecute these cases, and indeed for the police who investigate them. So it is appropriate that the legal aid regime should be modified to make provision for those extensive trials of complex matters. And so from that perspective, it does have our support, because the legal aid system is a vital part of the justice system in ensuring that people get representation when they are before the court on criminal matters. There is one point that I wish to bring to the attention of the minister in relation to legal aid, and that is that there is an exclusion from eligibility for legal aid for certain categories of criminal offenses. And I believe drug offenses, for example, do not attract legal aid. And I think that that ought to be changed. I don't think there should be any type of criminal matter which is excluded from the province of legal aid. Because there's a presumption of innocence in the Constitution. So there's no reason why the fact that you're charged with a particular type of offense should preclude you from being eligible to receive legal aid and to mount the best defense you can. And if you're convicted, so be it. But the role of the state through the legal aid system is to ensure justice is done in an even-handed way, and that applies regardless of the type of criminal offense involved. So whatever the thinking was back in the day when that rule was created, I would suggest to you, Minister, have a look at that. It's something I think which needs to be fixed, and that exclusion should no longer exist. No, I never did it. It's something I inherited. No, man, it's from way back. It's from way back. Yeah. So, Madam Speaker, subject to those two issues, we should ask the Minister to clarify for Hansard the interpretation of how the prorating would work, and also the fixing of the title of the regulations. Thank you. Yes.
Slowly for us so that we can grasp exactly. And then after that, I'm inviting the Attorney General to make her contribution.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I really rise to indicate my support and understanding for these amendments. As you know, whenever new laws are passed, part of the process requires a financial assessment of what is required to implement the law and enforce the law. The Leader of Opposition made the point as to whether any offense should be excluded from legal aid in this present day. It remains a thorny issue, but I think it perhaps can be answered easily on one perspective, that when the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedom was enacted, Section 16(5)(c) makes a special provision in relation to legal aid. And so every person who is charged with a criminal offense is said to be entitled to defend himself in person or through legal representation of his own choosing. And more importantly, in this context, if he has not sufficient means to pay for legal representation, to be given such assistance as is required in the interest of justice. And the Charter binds all laws that are passed. But you do know that it does raise another question as to how much of the public purse really should be spent to assist persons who, do deeds that really wreak havoc on the society. But that aside, there is indeed the presumption of innocence. But Madam Speaker, the point I really want to make is that with the understandable increase in the rate being paid for these complex matters, I believe that consideration must also be given to what is paid to the lawyers at the public bar. And I want to put on record my call to the Minister of Justice, as I did privately, no, publicly, that in the next round of review, it just cannot be right for the scales to be so unbalanced. The lawyers at the public bar On both sides, at the criminal bar and at the civil bar, they handle a lot of weighty, complex matters. The volume is great. I am putting it on record in the Parliament. You know, Madam Chair, there are times when discussions take place in the private space, but nobody really knows where we stand on these matters. So while I understand and support the increased rates, let it be known that I am saying that the rates at the public bar also need to be increased.
Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Attorney General and the Leader of the Opposition for their contributions. If I may respond in the reverse and say I agree totally with the Attorney General that what is being paid to public sector lawyers is more than shameful. And the sad thing is that we are losing some competent persons in the public sector because they are so inadequately paid. And so, in all sincerity, Madam Speaker, I lose a fair amount of good persons. Just recently, I heard of a few more who are leaving because they're getting better paid in the private sector as attorneys and probably doing less work for a better pay than they're getting in the public sector. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I agree, and we will convey that to the Minister of Finance appropriately. The other thing, Madam Speaker, is I agree with the Attorney General and the Leader of the Opposition that all persons should be afforded an attorney for all crimes, and we will look at that, Leader of the Opposition, where the Legal Aid Act exclude persons. Once the means tests show that they can't afford it, then they should be afforded an attorney. I put that, Madam Speaker, and say that in the event that those persons are convicted and in fact they have assets, including gangsters, if in the event that they have assets which clearly could be traced back to their gang activities or their fraudulent activities, then under the poker legislation, then they must go for the assets. So that, Madam Speaker, that is how, you know, over the years we ensure that we tackle crime. Those who benefit from illegal activities, we go for their assets. And in those circumstances, Madam Speaker, I would urge the Minister of National Security to watch the cases and where there are convictions, and you can trace matters, be it fraud or from gang activities, that they have assets that they obtained from gang activities by whatever means, that we recover, the state recovers those assets. The other 2 points, Madam Speaker, raised by the Leader of the Opposition, I thank you for raising those points. We did speak that we should have changed it before we circulated that it should be regulations number 2. So we will do that, you know, shortly. And yes, Madam Speaker, I did mention to the Leader of the House that indeed, because we're using 15 days as the minimum for the calendar month, then if the attorneys are in court for less than 15 days, it will be divided by 15. So say 150,000, the junior attorneys would get 10,000 for each day that they appear in court. And I must say that when we met with the attorneys, it was a fulsome discussion. I pointed out to them, as the Attorney General is indicating, that in fact what we are contributing is probably the same that Crown Counsel is getting, who is actually prosecuting the case in many instances. And that is why the AG is quite correct that we must look at the salaries of persons in the public sector. So, Madam Speaker, with that, I ask that the matter be referred to the Regulations Committee for its approval and report back to the Parliament. Thank you, members.
Madam Speaker, if I just may make one point of clarification. I thank the Attorney General for making reference to the Charter of Rights specifically, which does indeed contemplate that the state must provide means to ensure that everybody has legal representation who's facing the potential of a criminal conviction. The Legal Aid Act predates the Charter of Rights, and it has a provision in it for a definition of accepted offences and accepted proceedings, contemplating that regulations can be made listing types of categories of offences which are not eligible for legal aid. And those regulations were indeed made back in the day. And I'm saying I don't think we should wait for somebody to challenge that and not go through a court process. It's clearly not compatible with the Charter, so we should fix it. And I think it would be, especially if we accept that anti-gang proceedings are subject to legal aid, then I can't see why the other accepted categories still exist. So I'm just asking to have a look at that, please, Minister. Thank you.
Just before, I want to thank the Leader of the Opposition for his contribution, which is very valid. And I also want to thank the Attorney General for her contribution, for her forthrightness, and for her not being afraid to say so. Because, if I might add, yes, people who operate in public spaces and serve the public, and we need to look after our attorneys and those here at home, because we have lost valuable contributions from people because their remuneration just does not allow them to remain and serve. And as members of Parliament, right here at home in the Parliament, we have lost, we will continue to lose, and right here we should not be afraid as members of Parliament to do as the Attorney General has done this evening. Speak clearly and forthrightly about remuneration for people who serve the public. So, Attorney General, and so say all of us. Members, the question before the House is that the matter, I'm so sorry the Minister of Finance is not here, but Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Chang has our ears, and he has the experience and the knowledge, and I know he has heard it from all of us. But it is something, because you get, honestly, what you pay for. You get what you pay for. Members, just before the motion is approved, we have just got communication from the Integrity Commission that the member asking about the undated thing, the Integrity Commission just communicated and asked for this report, because it has some errors in it, to be withdrawn and a new one tabled. So I'm going to, after this motion is approved, seek the permission for the recommittal of the item announcements for the clerk to withdraw the one laid on the table and for this new one to be tabled this afternoon. Members, the question before the House is that the motion brought by the
Madam Speaker, one second. It's critical, and can you tell me how soon?
Beg your pardon?
That is critical, and can you tell me how soon it will come back, against the background
it is here.
That many of us who filed our integrity reports to the Integrity Commission, it's here.
It is here. It is here.
So you're going to give us a new one today?
Yes,
that's
what I'm indicating, but we are asking for the committal of the item announcement to allow her to withdraw the first report, which had errors that they picked up, and asking us to withdraw. We are going to ask, so we will ask, the question before the House is that the motion brought by the Acting House Leader and Minister of Justice be approved and be referred to the Regulations Committee. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. I'm now going to ask the House for the question before the House is that we have the recommittal of the item announcements. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Announcements recommitted.
I now ask that the special report of the Parliament to the Parliament on the status of statutory declarations tabled earlier be withdrawn and that it be replaced as with the corrected version, which reads the special report to Parliament on the status of statutory declarations.
And we now move to the item, public business.
Speaker, there are three presenters in the State of the Constituency debate. We will start with member from Western St. Andrew, followed by the member from Northwest Manchester, and then the member from Eastern Westmoreland. In that order, Madam Speaker.
Member from St. Andrew Western.
Madam Speaker, I rise to make my contribution in the State of the Constituency debate, which is for all members of Parliament to so do, but sometimes we don't always take advantage of it. Today, I believe it is critical that I do so for the reasons that I will enumerate. I begin, as I must, Madam Speaker, by recognizing you and thanking you for the sensible and sensitive manner in which you have conducted the business of the House in what has been a challenging year. I must give gratitude and praises, Madam Speaker, to my God for his goodness and mercy towards me and my family. I acknowledge my support team, which makes it possible for me to continue to represent the people of Western St. Andrew for now nearly 20 years in both the House and the Senate, as well as the people of Western St. Thomas for a previous 10 years period. Madam Speaker, over these near 25 years of representing both constituencies and the people of Jamaica, I have learned to be prayerful with my Lord, to be thankful to my family, to be attentive to my people's needs, and to serve the Jamaican people with humility. For most of the nearly 25 years that I have served, Madam Speaker, I have been fortunate to serve the majority of that time in the executive branch of government as Parliamentary Secretary, Minister of State, and as a cabinet minister in 4 ministries. I have endeavored to give my best, giving significantly to national development and growth, while helping to provide jobs to more people than my constituents. For selfless service, Madam Speaker, I have received, with gratitude, several national awards, the most recent being that of my own country, in the last COVID-19 abbreviated ceremony last year. I remain grateful, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my constituents are who make national service possible. And when I was out of Parliament for a brief period, a brief transitional period, I contributed my service to the nation as an ambassador and special envoy to the Most Honourable P.J. Patterson, ONQC. So, Madam Speaker, my life has been one of service, mostly to the Jamaican people. And I am grateful to the wise, industrious, talented, and hard-working people of Western St. Andrew for electing me for another term of office even after an overwhelming majority of constituencies elected representative from the other side and the other competing political party. Madam Speaker, Western St. Andrew remains true to the People's National Party, and they have always done when given a choice. I have no doubt that this will continue to be their choice. It is my intention and that of my two councillors, Councillor Anderson, who is here, and Councillor Clark, and a caretaker councillor who is here, and my sitting councillor, Councillor Norman Perry, who is not here, to continue to work with and for the people to ensure that this is so. Madam Speaker, the boundaries of the Western St. Andrew constituency have shifted over time, and significantly since the previous two elections in 2011 and 2016. While the constituency has remained predominantly urban and inner city, it has been expanded to include areas such as Plantation Heights, Belvedere, Cypress Hall, Cedar Valley, Gutsman, and Happy Grove, all previously part of West Rural St. Andrew. This, Madam Speaker, makes Western St. Andrew one of the most populated and most diverse constituencies in Jamaica. Too often, Madam Speaker, I have had to impress upon the various ministers of agriculture that Western St. Andrew is not just an inner city constituency, but comprises significant rural and farming communities deserving of support from the agricultural budget, including farm roads. I use this opportunity to continue to plead my case to the current minister, Madam Speaker. The many farmers and residents who live in these rural farming communities deserve and indeed demand the support of the government in addressing their critical needs. Apart from the larger residential segment of the constituency, not previously mentioned, which includes Washington Gardens, Corville Gardens, and parts of Downey Park, which falls within its boundaries, the remainder of the constituency consists of mainly inner-city communities, including decaying urban areas in Waterhouse, which I share with the Prime Minister, Seaview Gardens Phases 1 and 2, urban settlements in parts of Riverton Meadows, New Haven, Ferry, and Colorado Mews. Madam Speaker, the vision for Western St. Andrew has been clearly articulated and documented as, and I quote, achieving sustainable and sustained development that is inclusive and equitable in a clean and peaceful environment powered by the people, end quote. Our mission is, and I quote, to ensure representation and action, to empower the people to live their dreams and to achieve their full potential, end quote. In real terms, Madam Speaker, this requires that we modernize and transform the existing industrial belt along Spanish Town Road to Ferry into a supply chain and logistic hub, not just for Jamaica, but for the Americas and the Caribbean region. This mission is well on the way to being realized, Madam Speaker, as will be elaborated further in this presentation. Additionally, Madam Speaker, Western St. Andrew is the center of an emergent circular economy involving the scrap metal trade and the recycling industries built around the island's largest waste disposal site, which is set to continue its transformation into a modern landfill and waste-to-energy facility. I must comment, Madam Speaker, on the slow pace of the privatization of the Riverton landfill, which has seen one enterprise team or another for close to 20 years now. This, Madam Speaker, is not a demonstration of efficient government at work. Madam Speaker, Western St. Andrew, together with South St. Andrew, is the cradle of reggae music in Jamaica. From the era of King Tubby's to King Jammy's, to Black Roses, Black Uhuru, to modern dancehall artists such as Shabba Ranks, Beanie Man, Elephant Man, Junior Rose, Bounty Killer, to Dexter Dapp, and numerous others. Western St. Andrew has, like Trenchtown, demonstrated its historical antecedents and the capacity to foster a culture of creativity in music and innovation in the arts. Hence our focus on building public or community-based music studios to serve as training facilities for young people in the several communities of Waterhouse, Seaview Gardens, and Duane Park. The dialogue with the Minister of National Security in this regard, continues, as we are both agreed that part of the solution to crime and violence in the South St. Andrew Police Division is the engagement of more of our young people in the music and other creative industries. We need urgent action on this, Madam Speaker, as a reduction of violence in our communities and of our nation requires this. Madam Speaker, a clear strategy for achieving the vision and mission articulated has been developed and is being implemented in Western St. Andrew. The strategy recognizes that achieving our goals requires partnerships in the mobilization of public and private capital in order to build the human and physical infrastructure necessary for success in realizing our vision and mission. Hence our focus on achieving the following. 1, in the area of low-income housing. In order to maintain the stability in the older, more mature communities, such as Waterhouse, there is an urgent need for the development of affordable housing to replace or supplement the decaying infrastructure built in the 1950s and 60s. Madam Speaker, no new low-income housing has been built in the constituency since the 1960s. I'm appealing to the NHT and the HAJ to speed up the process begun in 2014 to build some 80 new affordable units in the Penwood Road area of Waterhouse, for which the potable water and sewage infrastructure has already been implemented. Madam Speaker, a similar situation exists in the Duane Park community, built in the 1950s, where the public housing stock of multifamily high-rise units have been largely neglected by the landlord, the government, and this across administrations. A process of divestment has started, Madam Speaker, whereby the units have been made available to the owners upon payment of the outstanding balance of the mortgages or rental arrears. This now needs to be brought to a conclusion, and the units sold for a nominal amount on condition that the significant repairs needed must be done by the purchaser with perhaps a housing rehabilitation concessional loan. The government should, however, Madam Speaker, undertake the other necessary physical infrastructure work, including road restoration and other social amenities. The next area we will be focused on, Madam Speaker, is rehabilitation of road network. The constituency, consistent with being one of the most populated, has perhaps the most extensive road network in the urban areas, with some 257 roads measuring approximately 385 kilometers throughout the constituency. We continue to make slow progress in the repairs and rehabilitation of the heavily trafficked roads, Madam Speaker. But the aged asbestos pipes for potable water and sewage suffer continuous breakage, causing community roads to be in a constant state of disrepair. It is also not unusual for a team of National Work Commission workmen to show up the next day after a road has been repaired to fix a broken main. Unfortunately, the response to representation for repairs to roads in the constituency has been painfully slow. For example, the situation with two roads in the Waterhouse community tells a story. Ellistow Avenue and Conway Road, where after waiting many years for the roads to be repaired, the identified funds had to be redirected elsewhere as the underlying pipes had first to be replaced. The replacement funds have not as yet been found after several years, and the roads remain in a deteriorating condition. The residents are tired of measurements being taken, Madam Speaker, and have sent a clear message to that effect. We are still expecting the funds to be allocated for the roads in the current year's budget as promised. Madam Speaker, the situation is so challenging that recently we had to make the difficult and painful decision to reduce the support for education
Madam Speaker, I now ask for the standing orders to be suspended to enable the member from St. Andrew Western to continue his speech to its conclusion.
The question before the House is that the member be given sufficient time to complete his presentation. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Member?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm much obliged. So I was saying, Madam Speaker, that the situation is so challenging that recently we had to make the difficult and painful decision to reduce the support for education we normally provide through the CDF to constituents in order to focus on repairing roads in the constituency. Madam Speaker, as you can imagine, this is only a drop in the ocean because the CDF, quite frankly, was never designed from the outset to be fixing major roads, as there are several kilometers of roads that remain in poor to terrible condition. But as in most deserts, Madam Speaker, there is an oasis. In Western St. Andrew, the oasis is the work currently being done in the Coville Gardens community in the rehabilitation of roads and circles, as well as the high-rise housing schemes. Madam Speaker, the work being done under the National Housing Trust Upgrade to Schemes program, as it's called, whereby NHT developments done in the first 10 years and financed by NHT would receive a one-time rehabilitation investment. The initiative by the NHT board is timely, and in the case of Coville Gardens, provides residents with a tremendous relief from the cratered roads, which betray the lack of proper maintenance beyond the occasional patching of roads from CDF funds. Built in the 1970s and 80s, the roads were never taken over by the KSA-MC or its predecessor organization, the KSAC. What that meant, Madam Speaker, is that neither the local government nor National Works Agency took responsibility for these roads, because the roads did not appear on their individual listing or schedules of roads. There was simply nothing to be gotten from these road maintenance and rehabilitation agencies. The burden was great, Madam Speaker, on both the Member of Parliament and the Councillor, whomever that was for the time being. Madam Speaker, this is a clear case for the single road authority solution being argued for some time. I'm sure my colleague, who follows me in today's speaking lineup, the member from Manchester Northwest, will have more to say on that topic. Suffice it to say, Madam Speaker, I'm grateful for the enduring legacy of Michael Manley's vision for the NHT and the Prime Minister's data-driven decision to support the board's recommendation in this regard. I turn next, Madam Speaker, to matters of drains and gullies. The vexed issues of drain and gullies have occupied a significant part of my representation to successive governments and across administrations. Given the location of the constituency, Madam Speaker, at or below sea level in some areas, and at the foothills of Red Hills in other areas, and the many drains, canals, and gullies running from north to south, the network of drains and gullies have been a source of great anxiety and suffering from the people in communities such as Riverton, Seaview Gardens, Washington Gardens, Colorado Mews, and New Haven. And Madam Speaker, if you were to just turn to look at what is projected here, those red lines that you see dotted with some green are drains that run through the constituency. It looks like a spaghetti network, but those are drains, Madam Speaker. Yeah, look like a COVID, a drain or something, so veins or something. But that's the network of drainage in the constituency. And it is that to which I speak, Madam Speaker. The inadequate cleaning of the drains and gullies has resulted in severe flooding of people's homes, businesses, and playfields. Madam Speaker, the $1 million allocated per constituency masks the special problems Western St. Andrew faces in the number of drains and gullies to be cleaned constantly, especially since every debris, bottle, old fridge, mattresses, and garbage from homes along the gully banks washes from north to south, ending in the communities and in the Hunts Bay. I make yet another special appeal for adequate funds to be provided to clean and repair the gullies on a timely basis if the flooding of businesses and homes in the areas indicated is to be mitigated. Madam Speaker, I must address the special situation of New Haven. Madam Speaker, the special case of New Haven must be mentioned here. The Duane River runs through the New Haven community. It is one of two rivers in Kingston and St. Andrew. Both flow through the constituency. Flooding is a constant for the residents of New Haven, whether it rains in Duane Park or not, due to the accumulation of silt in the river upstream and the lack of cleaning downstream in the Riverton area. This, Madam Speaker, has turned otherwise productive lands into swamplands, resulting in the closure and relocation of entire industries over time due to flooding. This, Madam Speaker, is really a very, very serious situation and has been for some time. Recently, Madam Speaker, some desilting of the river was done, and the impact on the community was immediate and beneficial. But the desilting of the Duane River needs to be completed if the residents are to get the relief they have been praying for more than a decade now. In fact, I would say decades now, Madam Speaker. It is painful for me or members of my team to have to visit families 2, sometimes 3 times in a year to sympathize with the damage to their homes, furniture, and personal effects. I turn my attention, Madam Speaker, to the Sandy Gully. For anyone driving along the lower section of the Sandy Gully, especially in the vicinity of Spanish Town Road or even Molynes Road, they cannot fail to see the state of the gully, which is the main artery for draining the water from the upper reaches of St. Andrew. In its current state, Madam Speaker, the Sandy Gully presents a clear and present danger to the port of Kingston, which adjoins the Hunts Bay, into which debris is designed to flow. It is but a matter of time, Madam Speaker, given the frequency and intensity of climate events, before the situation of floating debris begins to threaten our main commercial and transshipment port, the centerpiece of an expanded supply chain and logistics hub in the Americas. Inaction does not only threaten the residents of Seaview, it threatens all of us. Madam Speaker, I turn my attention now to Riverton and the land situation there. Madam Speaker, the history of the lands in Riverton and how they came to be the refuge of hundreds of persons thrown off the lands at what was Bacawal in West Kingston to make way for the new development of Tivoli Gardens is still not widely known. But those who were dislodged have not forgotten that traumatic and painful event. Many of these persons took refuge literally on the dump at Riverton and have eked out a living for themselves, their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, many of whom still occupy parcels of lands in the Riverton community. For some have been there for more than 12 years minimum, and some for as long as 60 years. Against that background, Madam Speaker, and without consultation with either the Member of Parliament, the Councillor, or the citizens, someone who previously owned land elsewhere along the industrial belt shows up to insist that the people be removed from the land to make way for a factory development. A factory, Madam Speaker, in the middle of a housing settlement with families and children of all ages, reminiscent of industrial England in the late 16th to early 17th century, kind of Charles Dickens kind of existence, and not Jamaica in the 21st century with environmental concerns a priority. History, Madam Speaker, is threatening to repeat itself in another generation after the Bacawal incident. But the saga is just beginning, Madam Speaker, because this diabolical plot, it appears, is being backed by the Ministry of Housing, which, despite my urgent request to meet to discuss this and other pressing issues, has not found the time. The Minister, Madam Speaker, has only recently agreed to meet upon his return from COP26 in a few weeks' time. Meanwhile, the person claiming to have purchased the land without sufficient proof of having done so lawfully is insisting that the families remove themselves from the land immediately or face being fenced in behind a wall to be built. Tension is rising in the area. Predictably, the area is on edge. Madam Speaker, I have registered my objection to this forced removal of persons from their homes, and I am demanding answers to the following questions. A, when and why was a restrictive covenant on the title to the land, limiting its use to residential development, removed from the covenant to allow for a factory development? B, why were the residents told by the ministry officials that they could not purchase the land because it was being sold by private treaty in breach of the land divestment policy of 2015, thereby denying them the right of first refusal to purchase the said lands? C, when, if at all, was the declaration of the land as Operation Pride Land under the Housing Act been rescinded? Has it been rescinded? I think not. D, does the government have a plan for development of the other parcels of Riverton lands for which there has been no discussion nor consultation with the representatives of the people or the peoples themselves. And the final question I have, Madam Speaker, in this regard is, does the recent amendment to the Registration of Titles, Cadastral Mapping, and Tenure Classification Special Provisions Act apply to the settlers, the occupiers of the land, some of whom, as I mentioned earlier, have occupied the land in excess of 12 years, and some for more than 60 years? Madam Speaker, this marks a very serious development in a community that has been making great effort to improve the basic amenities over time. The people, Madam Speaker, are determined to fight for the peace of the Jamaican dream. And we as representatives, meaning the Member of Parliament and Councillor, along with the opposition and other fair-minded people, will fight alongside the people in protection of their rights. In protection of their right to be given an opportunity to purchase this and other parcels of land in their community. They too, Madam Speaker, deserve to own a little piece of this rock we all call home. So, Madam Speaker, the vision and mission for Western St. Andrew places it on an upward trajectory for investment and growth. Adjoining the Port of Kingston, as I mentioned earlier, the planned Seaview Eco-Industrial and Logistics Park is attracting over $450 million of investment in a major logistics development to support the expansion of the Port of Kingston. This is complemented by the relocation to Western St. Andrew of Jamaica's largest trucking, haulage and heavy equipment firm, Zuki Trucking, as well as several warehouse projects being built in and around the industrial belt, is further proof of the embrace of the global logistics hub vision for Jamaica. The major industrial park development at Ferry Pen in the constituency is another proof of concept that Western St. Andrew is the industrial heartland of Jamaica. Madam Speaker, I seldom take credit for the work that I do on behalf of the people, either as minister or as MP. However, Madam Speaker, permit me on this occasion to take some credit for the development of Ferry Pen, which development was seeded by the relocation of Nestle Jamaica's main operation and distribution center to Ferry Pen after it sold its manufacturing assets and planned to reduce its presence in Jamaica significantly. It was my intervention with the senior management in Switzerland in 2014, in my capacity as Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, which led to a reconsideration and remodeling of Nestle's operation in Jamaica to focus on its major warehouse distribution and logistics operations at Ferry Pen. The relocation of Zuki Trucking to Seaview Gardens occurred around the same time, with the purchase of Zuki Trucking, the purchase by Zuki Trucking of the lands previously owned by Nestle in Seaview Gardens. Madam Speaker, I am proud of the development at Ferry Pen to now include a BPO facility which is providing opportunities for our young persons in the constituency and beyond, even as we speak. Madam Speaker, Jamaica is participating in the global automotive supply and value chain, as envisioned in the Global Logistic Hub Initiative, articulated in the Portia Simpson Miller administration, as demonstrated by Kingston Wharves Limited and its vehicle logistics operations. Ferry Pen now showcases the opportunities that await the Cayman Special Economic Zone and other planned SEZs, Madam Speaker, for which I recalled I was ridiculed by some in this very chamber, who now have gone very silent, as it has become clearer now, more than ever, that Jamaica's role as a major logistics gateway to the Americas represents represents its best opportunity for sustained growth in the post-pandemic effort at economic recovery. Therefore, it comes as no surprise that there is now such great economic and, I should say, political interest in Western St. Andrew. I now touch on training, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, to fulfill the promise of our young people in Western St. Andrew, we have insisted on their education and training, as well as creating second, third, and even fourth chances for our unattached youths, because we believe in the promise of our young people. But, Madam Speaker, this is the reason we are concerned about the recent reports of the state of affairs at Hart Trust, our premier training institution in vocational and skills training in Jamaica. Already, we in Western St. Andrew have fought for skills training in areas of industry needs, such as forklift and trailer truck operation, to prepare our young people for jobs not only here in Jamaica, but in the UK, USA, and Canada, where major shortages of certified truck drivers are creating disruption in the global supply chain. Madam Speaker, our trust and the government need to straighten out the internal issues affecting the efficient operations of the institution as quickly as possible in order to respond to the needs of a post-COVID Jamaica and the wider world. I continue to make representation, Madam Speaker, for the transformation of the old building in Seaview Gardens, opposite to Zuki Trucking Facilities, into a modern workforce training college. I've been making this call since 2014, Madam Speaker. And despite the slow pace of development and the many setbacks, I will never resile from the view that Jamaica must begin to upskill our youth population for the jobs of the 21st century. The supply chain and logistics related skills in warehouse management, inventory management, packaging, AI, and data analysis are where our efforts should be focused, because our people have proven to be adept at mastering smart technology and only need the opportunity. We cannot fail them, Madam Speaker. It is true that their education and employment benefits our youth directly, but there is a greater benefit to social cohesion, the reduction of crime, and the country's economic growth and development from which we all benefit. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, Western St. Andrew is not lacking in visionary leadership. We lack the public and private resources necessary to provide the public goods and services being demanded by our constituents. The people in Western St. Andrew are seen and believe the vision that there is nothing more inspiring than a community, a constituency, or a country that is aroused by a vision whose time has come and who has the fixity of purpose to achieve it. Western St. Andrew has demonstrated that we are not waiting on the government. We are taking the lead in attracting investments in the constituency by articulating our vision for the future of the constituency, and have placed the people at the center of our plans and their implementation. Investors have bought into that vision, Madam Speaker. And so I close where I began. Madam Speaker, recently I was challenged by a member of this Honourable House to identify one case that I've ever won, to prove to him that I was not, in his word, a Kwashi lawyer. Firstly, Madam Speaker, the member does not even understand. The member does not even understand that the use of a perfectly good African name, Kwashi, in a pejorative manner is an insult to our ancestors. And echoes the debasing of them by our former oppressors. Secondly, his statement betrays a comprehensive lack of understanding of the practice of law in Jamaica and elsewhere. The fact is, Madam Speaker, that the vast majority of lawyers do not go to court, and my own background training and experience in the specialty areas of aviation, international trade, and shipping law has been put to the service of the Jamaican people for close to 30 years. The national awards I've received for my work in international affairs and in negotiations on behalf of the African, Caribbean, and Pacific ACP group, negotiating with the European Union the Cotonou Agreement, which provides trade and financial benefits to over 80 developing countries for a 20-year period, is compelling evidence that I have been winning for the Jamaican people at the public. As for my role at the private bar, I will only mention the landmark case of Shanique Myrie versus the government of Barbados. Before the Caribbean Court of Justice, in which the firm Hylton Brown, of which I was a founding and managing partner, filed suit on behalf of Ms. Shanique Myrie against the Barbadian government for breach of her right to hassle-free movement within CARICOM under the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, which I helped negotiate, Madam Speaker. Although I was a cabinet minister by the time the case came to trial, and therefore could not take part in the actual trial, significant work in initiating that case was already done. The ruling in the Shanique Myrie matter is a victory for the Jamaican and Caribbean people in their efforts to integrate the Caribbean region. Madam Speaker, I have responded in this manner, not because I believe the member will understand or will ever apologize, as it is not in his DNA, for what the acting speaker has already ruled as abusive and inappropriate comments, but because I feel duty-bound to respond on the record to what was intended to injure me in my reputation as a partner in my private legal practice. An act, Madam Speaker, which if done outside the precinct of this House, he would have paid dearly for. Nor do I think he's likely to mend his ways as a serial abuser of the House privileges, as he's simply incorrigible and will continue to hide behind the protection given him by the Constitution and the standing orders, even as he continues to abuse those very privileges. Madam Speaker, my style is not boastful. My style is to be humble and grateful for the successes I've had, and to use those successes for the benefit of the people I serve. I treat every unsuccessful venture as an opportunity for learning. I look forward to the support of this Honourable House as Western St. Andrews seeks to achieve its vision and to fulfill its mission. Madam Speaker, I report that the state of the constituency of Western St. Andrews is strong in its vision, mission, people, policies, plans and programs, but deficient in the public resources needed to execute these plans and programs for the benefit of the people. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Thank the member from St. Andrew Western for his presentation.
Thank you.
And now we have the member from Manchester Northwestern, Right.
Madam Speaker, at the outset of my contribution to the State of the Constituency debate, I would like to thank the Almighty for guiding me through the years, especially through these difficult times of a global pandemic. Colleagues, we can all agree our country is going through unprecedented times. Our indomitable Jamaican spirit remains, highlighted by the dedication of our frontline workers, their hard work and commitment to keeping us safe and healthy must constantly be recognized. We are a grateful people. Madam Speaker, what is the state of affairs in my constituency, Northwest Manchester? In September 2020, the people elected me for a third term. I again thank them for trusting me as their advocate in this honorable House. I want to recognize the work of my councillors, Deputy Mayor Kennedy, Councillor Facey, Councillor Collins. I want to thank them, Madam Speaker, for their years of service and representation to Northwest Manchester. As Councillor Facey and Collins have decided to retire from active politics. I want to also thank my caretakers for the work that they have been putting in. And when this local government comes, Madam Speaker, Northwest Manchester will be carrying home 4 from 4. It has not been an easy journey, but I remain committed to the people of Northwest Manchester and the people of Jamaica to ensure that the government prioritizes rural, underserved constituencies. Madam Speaker, many might see us come here week after week. We are privileged to be 63 out of nearly 3 million citizens, to be able to represent the people of this country and our various constituencies. I don't take it for a joke, and I'm sure that many in here take their job seriously. Many say that we are lazy, some say that we are thieves, some they classify us in different ways. But I know that every single one of us in here have changed the lives of some Jamaican man, woman, or child. It is not an easy task, but it is one that we have committed ourselves to, and one that I'm sure that many, if not all of us in here, take seriously. I have said many times in this state that I have said many times, it is the state's responsibility to protect the most vulnerable within our society. Resources should be allocated sufficiently and used efficiently and effectively at all critical areas, including roads, education, health, water, and ICT infrastructure. My passion for representational politics, Madam Speaker, and the upliftment of rural communities stem from my coincidence of birth and upbringing. My paternal grandparents are from the hills of Belfield in central Manchester and Shudley in northeast Manchester. In the 1980s, there was no running water and electricity in the Blue Mountain community of Belfield, where I spent much of my time as a child. My recollection of those years ago fueled my passion for public service and representation. Madam Speaker, like previous members, I share the sentiments that MPs are currently doing tasks that are the responsibilities of state entities, such as the provisions of funeral grants, debushing, and welfare assistance. The state entities need to be reformed urgently, as it is their role to help vulnerable citizens, not only vulnerable citizens, but all Jamaicans, construct and maintain public goods. The current mechanism is highly inefficient, and we need to address it quickly. Despite the several limitations of resources and the systems of administrations, I have done my best since elected Member of Parliament. After consultation with my constituents, we had an agreement that 50% of the Constituency Development Fund, the CDF, would be spent on infrastructure projects. Sticking to this agreement, we have been able to execute meaningful community projects to improve the lives of people in Northwest Manchester. The first project I would like to highlight is the recently installed hotspot in Mile Gully. Not only that we have been able to install this hotspot, but we did some refurbishing of the park in Mile Gully to accommodate our residents. We have also built 4 shops in the park so that we can help the commerce within the town centre of Mile Gully. This is the very first hotspot in Northwest Manchester. I thank the Universal Service Fund team for helping us to make this project a reality. And Minister Vaz, he was not downstairs, yes. The USF has also advised that the second hotspot will be operational at the Greenvale Community Centre by mid-December, and the upgrading of the existing site at the Huntley Library will also be completed by January 2022. Madam Speaker, only 20% of Northwest Manchester residents have access to the internet. It has been particularly challenging for students in my constituency to participate in online learning. I imagine it is the same for many students in other rural constituencies. Madam Speaker, the digital divide is indeed great. Although hotspots are being rolled out by the USF, a more cost-effective solution is urgently required to increase access to the internet in rural communities. Hotspots are only a solution. Hotspots are only a solution to bridge the gap. People need broadband connectivity in their homes and schools. If not addressed, Madam Speaker, urgently, Jamaica will be left behind in the digital revolution. I want to talk a bit on focus on community tourism, sustainable community development, and participation. Funds from the TPDCO have allowed us to execute several projects within Northwest Manchester. That's right. The Noisy River Development Project was completed in my first term. Madam Speaker, Noisy River is one of 3 surface rivers in the parish of Manchester. Noisy River, which comes from Trelawney, from North Trelawney, comes through South Trelawney, South Trelawney, comes down on the border between Manchester and Trelawney, comes through the community of Oxford, then goes underground, and then comes back out in the Black River So residents from St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Trelawney, St. Ann comes to Noise River, especially on a holiday or on a weekend. So we went ahead in consultation with residents. We leased land from forestry. We built shops on the riverbank so that the persons from the community themselves can engage in some commerce. We put in bathrooms. We put in changing rooms, gazebos. So we have our own little Duns River, our own little resort in the middle of Manchester. And it is controlled by the community council itself. So they take care of it and they own it. And this was our first project in my first term as Member of Parliament with funds from the TPD called Noise River Project. In my second term, the Maidstone Museum was done. Madam Speaker, Maidstone is the first free village in the parish of Manchester. And it has a rich history with the Moravians and the Moravian Church in Jamaica. And the community members themselves had a lot of artifacts coming back from that free village. And with funds from the TPD, we got a building at the Nazareth Primary School, a standalone building. And with the funds from TPD, we were able to develop a museum dedicated to the Maidstone community and to those residents whose family settled there as free slaves. As free people. Thank you. I'm pleased, Madam Speaker, to announce that come December, we will be officially opening the Rising Sun Music Studio in Greenvale. Madam Speaker, this studio is the only one of its kind in central Jamaica going straight back to Montego Bay. Because it's not only it is that persons will be able to come there to cut a tune, but we have a rehearsal room with actual instruments that persons want to come and rehearse, do band rehearsal. No. Right? Now that Audley has gotten his voice, maybe he can come and bust a tune. Right? But the Prime Minister came there and toured it recently during the vaccination blitz. Sorry? That's central Manchester. We're dealing with Northwest. So it is the only one of its kind, Madam Speaker, and we are proud that we'll be opening it in December. Madam Speaker, in collaboration with the Regional Health Authority, community consultations were conducted in the community of Comfort Hall. Comfort Hall, and arising from these consultations and discussions, the need for a health facility was expressed. Comfort Hall is located at the foothills of the Cockpit country. It is a deep rural community. Madam Speaker, they have no health care facilities. Comfort Hall residents must go either to Balaclava in St. Elizabeth, Mile Gully, or even as far as Mandeville for health care. I've started with the community, Madam Speaker, the process of building a Type 2 health center in the community of Comfort Hall. Lack of funding has delayed the construction, but I have approached state agencies, Madam Speaker, for assistance in completing this project. But unfortunately, only the National Health Fund has provided a favorable response yet so far. But we are not giving up, as it has taken us 3 years to reach to the point where we are now. Government agencies need to invest more in health infrastructure in rural Jamaica. The pandemic has highlighted the importance of investing in healthcare. Rural constituencies need access to quality healthcare like urban constituencies. And the Ministry of Health and Wellness must deliver on its promise for universal health coverage for all. And in addition to the health facility, a library and community center will be constructed in the community of Comfort Hall. These projects so far has only been funded through the CDF.
Madam Speaker, I now ask for the suspension of standing order to allow the member from Manchester Northwest to complete his presentation, notwithstanding the restriction on time.
Question before the House is that the member be given sufficient time to complete his presentation. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will answer you today. I will answer him today. Let me repeat, Madam Speaker. So far, the construction of the health center, community center, and library has been funded through the Constituency Development Fund allocated to Northwest Manchester. Recently, we were given $1.5 million from the Bauxite Institute through the Bauxite Communities Program, and have applied to TPDCO for funding through the Spruce Up Jamaica program to be able to complete this project. Madam Speaker, in Northwest Manchester, we take community development seriously. We have several community improvements projects across the constituency. They include the beautification of communities, as beautification plays an important role in improving the quality of life and fostering a sense of community pride. So far, the communities of Maidstone, Greenvale have been approved. Madam Speaker, with the museum that we did in Maidstone, we were able to put in sidewalks, cut stone sidewalks. We were able to assist the shop owners to paint their shops, putting out concrete benches in the green area, with the community members planting bougainvilleas and other plants to uplift the community. If you go out there on a Sunday, you will see families just sitting out there enjoying the beauty of their own community. Madam Speaker, the George Reed Project, Community Improvement Project, will begin in another 2 weeks. This community improvement project will be done in 3 phases and will include the construction of sidewalks, creation of green spaces, assisting with residents in taking down the unsightly fencing and assisting for the beautification of the area through proper fencing, paving of community roads, improvement of the drainage network. Madam Speaker, the subject of education and the difficulties that continue to plague Northwest Manchester. As Member of Parliament, I can state without fear of contradiction that education is a way, probably the only way, for every youth, man, woman, and child to uplift themselves and play a key role in our Jamaican society. In Northwest Manchester, there is only one high school, Mile Gully High School, which cannot cater to the needs of all the students across the constituency. Imagine 14 primary schools and only one high school, where students in the constituency can be placed. Therefore, most students from Northwest have to be placed in schools outside of the constituency and commute long distance to get an education. Madam Speaker, in a rural constituency like mine, transportation is difficult to obtain, and most students must take several modes of transportation to get to school. Mile Gully High School will certainly need more resources to ensure that the only high school in Northwest Manchester can adequately accommodate the students in the constituency. The school is housed in buildings originally built for the Mile Gully Primary School, which are wooden and over 50 years old. 2 years ago, Madam Speaker, the Health Department declared 2 of these wooden buildings unfit for use and ordered them closed. This has only worsened the school's ability to accommodate more than 730 students. 10 years ago, the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information promised that a new high school would be built for the Mile Gully community. Madam Speaker, 5 years ago, I was advised that the design for the high school is being done, but we are yet to see any drawings. In 2017, the then Minister of Education again committed to building a new plant for the Mile Gully High School. However, to date, this promise has not been kept, even though 40 acres of land has been donated by UC Roussel for the construction of the Mile Gully High School at no cost to the government. Madam Speaker, Jamaica also gave a grant of approximately 300,000 United States dollars to assist with the preparation of the site. Unfortunately, the funding was withdrawn by Jamaica because there was no movement in the construction of the school. I renegotiated with Jamaica and the funds were reinstated. However, I warn that if there are continued further project delays, it is likely that these funds will be withdrawn again. Well, she's not here. Madam Minister of Education is here. Madam Speaker,
She is going to make good.
I am hoping, because the community, we are willing, even if the school takes 5 years to construct, Madam Minister of Education. The current home that the Mile Gully High School is in was built for the primary school. The primary school is now housed in a skills training center. So the school cannot be expanded. I mean, it was a report done by the Ministry of Education a few years ago to say that we only have 5 habitable classrooms at Mile Gully High School. The former Minister of Education gave some funds, but it's not adequate. We were able to just put up 2 classrooms for 6 form block. But for a school in a constituency like Mile Gully or Northwest Manchester that can only house 730, probably maximum 750, and you'll be bursting at the seam. And a mule, but no school. So, Madam Minister of Education, I am begging you on behalf of the Mile Gully High School community and Northwest Manchester to re-look at the construction, because my neighbor in Northeast Manchester and Central and South, all schools, as you would know, in Manchester is bursting at the seams, and we are urgent for some intervention in Northwest Manchester. Madam Speaker, all parliamentarians will agree with me that there is inadequate funding for road repairs and maintenance. The NWA's quarterly patching program is insufficient, as some of these roads need to be completely resurfaced. Rural constituencies have more municipal council roads, what we refer to as parish council roads, than NWA managed roads. And due to the issue of road ownership, oftentimes, many of these roads remain unrepaired. Madam Speaker, all our roads, as have been said by Speaker before me, need to be brought under one authority and a road maintenance fund be re-established for the proper maintenance of our roads. The financing of routine road maintenance through the consolidated fund is not sustainable. Successive governments have been trying to do so for decades, and our roads have just been getting worse and worse. Over the past 2 years in Northwest Manchester, several roads have been rehabilitated, which includes a road from Hatfield to Lincoln Square. I can report that by the end of this calendar year, the following roads will be patched. The road leading from Mile Gully to Comfort Hall, Lincoln to Maidstone, Miketown to Topsham, Wint Road, Hibernia Road, which is border between myself and Northeast Manchester, Scotttown Road, Bromelia Road, and McKinley Road. Many more roads need to be done, but my team and I are working in Northwest Manchester in the best interest of the people with the resource constraints that we face. Although I mentioned the challenges of road maintenance and repair, I'm grateful for the 3 farm roads, the Breeze Hole, the Zim Rose Peace, and Wilson Town, which were completed over the last year and a half. You know, every time that I hear my colleagues talk about prosperity, I wonder if them want to work, because if I don't want prosperity, I have no ambition either, so you can't go and tell me. Go on. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just want to touch on an issue that affects both you and I. The Troy Bridge, which is on the border of Northwest Manchester and South Trelawney. The bridge was 125 years old. It collapsed sometime in August. But this bridge serves the farmers from Northeast Manchester, Northwest Manchester, North Trelawney, South Trelawney, and those going in reverse from St. Elizabeth that will go to St. Anne or even the Trelawney markets. They traverse that route. But the bridge is down now for a couple months. And having dialogue with the National Works Agency, because, Madam Speaker, my fear is that very soon, and I'm not calling this down on any harm on any residents, but for the residents to move from Manchester to South Trelawney, they have created their own zip line. Yeah. To carry residents across, which is very dangerous. And speaking to the National Works Agency, I was hoping that we would have gotten the same response as the member from East Rural St. Andrew. Right? Because the cost of replacing this bridge will be a quarter of the breakaway that was in East Rural St. Andrew. But they are giving us a timeline that this bridge, one, it's going to take 6 months to do geological work, then 6 months to design, and then hopefully it can meet the budget. But while that happens, there are persons when it rains When there's no rain, they're walking in the riverbed to get to the other side. When there's rain, they're zip lining persons over the other side. And it is we have a responsibility just for the safety of these residents. And I'm asking you, Madam Speaker, as my neighboring member of Parliament, for us to have an urgent intervention, even if in the short term we get a Bailey Bridge, for them to just cross. But we cannot allow persons to risk their lives and farmers driving 20-odd miles around on roads that are not even donkey should have really go on them. Yeah. So I'm asking you, Madam Speaker, let us join forces in getting this done in the shortest space of time. Madam Speaker, I invited Rada to visit Northwest Manchester. The former Minister Green came into Northwest Manchester looking at sites for the construction of 3 water harvesting ponds to assist the farmers with water during the dry periods. Currently, I'm in dialogue with Minister Shaw to support these projects. Madam Speaker, with climate change, a lot of farmers that normally would, during rainy period, would get rain, is now having dry spells. And in constituencies like Northwest Manchester, farmers either have to harvest waters with tanks that they would get from us, or purchasing on their own. And in many times, they have to buy water to put in these tanks. So we thought it fit, and as I mentioned, I want to thank Minister Green, because when we discussed it, it was a project that he was very much interested in. Where we were putting these ponds lined, putting solar pumps and pipe them to some of the farms, that farmers themselves can have water during that period of drought. And I'm anticipating that the Ministry of Agriculture will continue to support this project with RADA and bringing it to fruition. In terms of domestic water, the NWC slogan is "Water is life." And in Jamaica today, rural constituencies such as mine have not even seen adequate levels of investment to provide access to this critical commodity. In my constituency, less than 40% of residents have access to potable water. For those residents lucky enough to have pipe water, it only comes a few days per week. This cannot continue, and we must act on behalf of our brothers and sisters and every Jamaican, especially in rural constituencies that are without water. Access to clean drinking water is a human right. Jamaica is obliged to achieve universal access to water and sanitation without any discrimination. Madam Speaker, despite the challenges, I'm happy to announce that the communities of Oxford and Comfort Hall and Evergreen will benefit from the upgrading and rehabilitation of the Union Balaclava Water Supply Project.
Finally, have a government that hears you.
And in a few days, Madam Speaker, funds from the Constituency Development Fund.
Yes.
Back off now.
Yes, that's an institution invented by Bruce Golding. That's right.
The Jubilee Street Water Project will commence. This will see the laying of pipes and the necessary infrastructure to get water to each household in Jubilee Street.
Yeah. Very good.
The NWC had developed plans for a Mile Gully water supply project. However, upon further investigation, Madam Speaker, I was advised by the NWC that this project is not a priority. Madam Speaker, the Mile Gully community has a primary school, the only high school in Northwest Manchester, a health care facility, a library, and police station.
MP office.
Yet it is not a priority. And the MP office.
Yes, you have to talk about that.
Yet it is not a priority. Can you imagine with all these critical services without potable water? In addition, there are 2,000 residents who live in and around the Mile Gully community. Their only connection is to pipes from the parish tank to the standpipe. Otherwise, they must harvest rainfall or purchase trucked water. Madam Speaker, the community of Comfort Hall, Evergreen, Oxford, has the largest water table in the parish of Manchester.
That's true.
Larger than the one that supplies Mandeville from Porous. But yet still, that community of Comfort Hall, Evergreen and Oxford gets its water from St. Elizabeth. Yeah? And yet still, the community. So while I asked the Minister of Education to look at a new high school, it would be great if we could turn on some pipe water to the new high school when it is constructed. Can you imagine all these critical services without potable water? I'm pleading with the government to make access to water in Mile Gully and the rest of Northwest Manchester a priority. The people need the water. In fact, I am also urging the government and the NWC to consider the proposal that was made as far back as 1973, Madam Speaker, to utilize the water source at the Kirkvine bauxite plant, which is now closed and sitting idle. Madam Speaker, the volume of water that was needed to produce aluminium bauxite is more than the town of Mandeville itself may need on a daily basis. But yet still we have this infrastructure sitting down right there in the valley, closer, because all the pipes come from wells in Porous to Kirkvine. It was in this house that Michael Manley, in a budget presentation, made that recommendation in 1973. No, member, shame on both administrations that we have not given Manchester proper potable water. Madam Speaker, the lack of access to inadequate water is a national problem which must be tackled. The NWC needs to improve the efficiency of water supply delivery in Jamaica, as this is critical to attaining Vision 2030, National Outcome Number 9, strong economic infrastructure.
I agree. None of us.
Madam Speaker, NWC is not now in a good place financially. Our water security is at stake, and the pandemic has underscored the need for a sustainable water supply. We need urgent solutions, and the people of Jamaica cannot continue to suffer while the government remains indecisive. Madam Speaker, we all can agree that the people of Jamaica want a return to normalcy.
Yes.
The pandemic has affected our lives. Some of our fellow countrymen have lost their lives, others their livelihood. Madam Speaker, our only way out of this pandemic is vaccination.
Here, here.
I would like to use this platform to encourage every Jamaican to get vaccinated.
Yes. Here, here.
I am vaccinated.
Yes.
My wife is vaccinated.
Yes.
My 2 daughters is vaccinated.
Yes.
My entire family is vaccinated.
Your father too.
My father is vaccinated.
Next work.
In Northwest Manchester, we are doing our best to encourage the people within Manchester to get vaccinated and get back to life. To date, 4 pop-up vaccination sites have been held in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. I hope that more will be held in Northwest Manchester. Madam Speaker, I would also like to thank the team of doctors, nurses, and community health aid workers at the Mile Gully Health Centre. They have been administering vaccines every Wednesday. To them, your dedication and hard work have not gone unnoticed, and on behalf of every resident in Northwest Manchester, I would like to thank them for their work. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, I've outlined some of the projects executed in my constituency over the past 3 terms, notably the last year, that I have done on behalf of the people of Northwest Manchester. Although we require much, my constituents and I are grateful for the assistance received from the ministries, agencies, and departments as Member of Parliament. I will continue to hold the government accountable by highlighting the areas of weaknesses, the need for more effective and efficient allocation of resources, as well as providing recommendations where appropriate. In the best interest of my constituents in Northwest Manchester and the most vulnerable in Jamaica, with God's guidance and mercies, we will achieve a better standard of living for Jamaicans who reside in rural Jamaica. And Jamaica will become a place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. May God continue to bless Jamaica. Land be long. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, permission to speak from a seat that is not mine. Madam Speaker, it is an honor and privilege to stand before this honorable House this afternoon to report to the country about Westmoreland Eastern. Madam Speaker, as I address this honorable House this afternoon, I wish to publicly acknowledge my gratitude to my family, my friends, and my parliamentary colleagues, led by the most honorable Andrew Mikael Holness. And a special recognition, Madam Speaker, to my constituents in Westmoreland Eastern who entrusted me with this dignified responsibility in the constituency. Madam Speaker, I want to acknowledge my colleagues who are working as councillor caretakers in the constituency. We have Ms. Elviga Francis in the White House Division, Mr. Godfrey Walters in the Darlington Division, Mr. Richard Clear in the Leamington Division, and Mr. Aaron Williams in the Betheltown Division, who are all waiting patiently for the bell to ring to once again unseat the President from his life. To all the stalwarts who have helped to secure this victory and has passed, may their soul rest in peace. Madam Speaker, there was once an empty barrel sitting inside this honorable House. Who believed that his seat was permanent.
On a point of order, Madam Chair.
It surprised many that this empty barrel was rolled away.
No, I'm doing it. Remember what you did it. Madam Chair, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker,
what is the point of order?
I believe it is unparliamentary to be calling a member who sat in this House an empty barrel.
Madam Speaker, it is not unparliamentary to refer to someone as an empty barrel. Or, no, nothing is wrong with that. I mean, but I don't think. Yes, the truth of the matter, it is not unparliamentary.
Members, I crave your indulgence. This is the members' maiden presentation. And in delivering our presentations, we all make little quirks about our being elected here. And I would like for us to extend to each other the gentleness that we ask the rest of the society to extend to each other and ask him to continue his presentation. Member from Westmoreland, go ahead. Then if you don't know who he's talking about, where's the point of order? Come on, go ahead.
Because he said that an empty barrel once sat in this House. And I'm thinking that you should never refer to a colleague as an empty barrel sitting in this House.
Members, will you allow the member to continue his presentation?
This empty barrel, Madam Speaker, was rolled away by a humble servant, thus creating history. Madam Speaker, the task is mine today to update this honourable House and the people of Jamaica on the recovery process in Westmoreland Eastern. Madam Speaker, as a son of the soil in Westmoreland Eastern, I am fully aware of the issues affecting the constituents. Chief among them are insufficient water supplies, limited employment opportunities, insufficient opportunities to education and training, irregular garbage collections, road conditions, poor access to internet service, limited street lighting, neglect to small farmers, no proper sporting facilities, among other things. This, Madam Speaker, should not have been the case. Westmoreland Eastern was once under the stewardship of a former Prime Minister.
Yes, correct.
And a previous Member of Parliament who collectively served for over 30 years. Yes. Madam Speaker, Westmoreland Eastern should not have been the one of this constituency. How this is not so. However, this is not so. Madam Speaker, the constituency have grown tired of these empty promises. The disregard for their concerns and lack of representation. Madam Speaker, in little over a year, I have been working assiduously to tackle the issues plaguing our constituents. Yes. Madam Speaker, vaccination has been a part of our lives since the onset of the coronavirus pandemic. And as such, I am urging the constituents of Westmoreland Eastern and by large Jamaica to let us get vaccinated and get back to life. Madam Speaker, due to the lack of governance in Westmoreland Eastern, in all sectors of the economy, the constituents began to lose hope. And where there is no vision, Madam Speaker, the constituents will surely perish. Thankfully, I am here to change this image, and in just over a year, a lot has changed. On the matter of education, Madam Speaker, we have been assisting children to acquire quality education. More than 60 tablets have been distributed through the CDF program. Madam Speaker, I am happy to report that through the assistance of my office, numerous students have received digital device through our own Your Own Device program, through the Minister of Education. Special thanks to Minister Williams for this wonderful initiative. 100 more tablets are expected to be delivered under the Jamaica Digital Device Program, Madam Speaker. Our children continue to suffer from poor internet service. To bridge this digital divide, I am currently working with USF to install Wi-Fi hotspots in Betheltown, Darliston, and White House. To ease the pressure of little or no internet service. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, through my office, I have donated printer and also with the construction of isolation rooms in many schools in the constituency. We are preparing as we prepare for face-to-face classes. 29 students were given tertiary grants to begin and continue their educational aspiration. $2 million have been allocated for the purchasing of book vouchers and school supplies. Madam Speaker, we are leaving no stones unturned. Currently, we are working with Heart Trust NTA to assist at-risk youths to get qualified and make themselves marketable, which will complement the employment rate and, of course, Madam Speaker, decrease the level of crime and violence. Madam Speaker, Westmoreland Eastern have over the years been neglected by poor representation, boast some of the worst roads. Since taking office, Madam Speaker, through the NWA, approximately $32 million have been spent on the patching of roads from Akendown to Hylton. From Cave to Scottscove, Carmel to Darliston, Darliston to Woodstock, Darliston to Withorn, Jacksgate to Chester Castle, Stewart to Lambs River, Lambs River to Seaford Town, Seaford Town to Berkshire, Berkshire, Seaford Town to Marchman Road, Bethel Town to Duckets, Barnyside to Macfield. Patching was also done. Patching was also done at Robbins River, Beeson Spring, Big Woods, Holly Hill, Ashton, and the Ark. Yeah. Madam Speaker, I have also submitted 3 project proposals for rehabilitation to the Lime Tree Road, Cedar Valley Road, Pinnock Shafton Road through the CDF funds, which is now in the procurement stage. In the same breath, Madam Speaker, I want to express heartfelt thanks to the former Minister of Agriculture, MP Floyd Green, who during his tenure has through rather rehabilitate the Charles Mountain and Tumpan roads. The Leamington Road is expected to begin in short order. Also, the Hopewell to McDonald's Road is slated to start later this year. Madam Speaker, the road leading to the fishing village in White House will likewise be rehabilitated through the Ministry of Fisheries. Approval have also been given from the Honourable Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation with responsibility for roads, for rehabilitation of the Marchman to Retrieve Road at a cost of over $75 million. Which will commence in short order. This rehabilitation, Madam Speaker, will benefit a wide cross-section of constituents and also persons traversing from St. Elizabeth to St. James. Special recognition to Minister Warmington, who took the time out to tour the area with me. Madam Speaker, I have also, through my CDF funds, repaired the Bailey Bridge in Garden White House. Which have been in a deplorable condition for many years. Madam Speaker, the disrepair to this particular bridge has caused many damages to pedestrians and vehicles. Madam Speaker, the constituency of Westmoreland Eastern is making constant and purposeful strides.
Yes. Yes.
Westmoreland Eastern, Madam Speaker, have been suffering from limited water supplies. We are faced with many challenges. However, we have managed to restore water in some areas, such as McAlpine, Barnyside, Bethel Town, Lambs River, Amity, and adjoining areas. Areas which have pipelines laid for over 20 years, Madam Speaker.
Shame.
Without a drop of water, they can now bathe properly in their showers. Madam Speaker, we are also working on a plan to integrate the nearby sources, Roaring River, Shuttlewood, and Cambridge, for more reliability of supplies in the Betheltown area. Myself, along with a team from NWC, has visited the Petersville community, who have been without water for several years, to access the water issue in the area. The well is said to have run dry, and as such, another area in the same vicinity was scoped for the drilling of a new well. And with that said, Madam Speaker, grounds is expected to break shortly for the new well and a pumping station in Petersville, which will supply Petersville and adjoining communities, to include White House. Madam Speaker, I am requesting the kind assistance from Minister without portfolio in the Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation with responsibility for water to take a visit to assess the situation faced in the constituency. Madam Speaker, through my office, the people of Westmoreland have been benefiting continuously from numerous opportunities. In entrepreneurial opportunities, we have over 63 constituents receiving assistance to start up and to boost their small businesses. Madam Speaker, losing a loved one is very hard, especially in times like these. Therefore, my office is helping to offset the funeral expenses as families grieve the loss of their loved ones. Over 30 families have benefited, and the benefits are ongoing. Madam Speaker, I am here not to relax, but to do the people's business. Madam Speaker, Westmoreland Eastern has a proud history of boasting with pride the best presentation of fried fish and bami.
Yes. This true. And
over 80% of the families in White House area depends largely on fishing for a livelihood. Madam Speaker, as a farmer fisherman, I am aware of the challenges that are faced in the fishing industry. I was glad when Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries extended assistance to the fisher folks in the constituency. A total of 214 fisher folks have received fishing wires. Hats off again to you, MP Green. The fisher folks in Westmoreland Eastern the fisher folks in Westmoreland Eastern can now rest assured that we, including you, Farmer Minister Green, have them covered.
That's right. That's right.
Madam Speaker, we are all agree that the pandemic has created opportunities, and as such, forcing our constituency to think outside of the blocks. in creating opportunities that will enhance their lives. One such opportunity is the diversification of farming. This new opportunity has even managed to capture persons who once through farming was not a choice of work for them.
Madam Speaker, I now ask for the suspension of the standing order to allow the member from Eastern and over to complete his presentation. Eastern Westmoreland, sorry, to complete his presentation.
Question before the House is that the member from Westmoreland Eastern be given sufficient time to complete his presentation.
Okay, thank you. Madam Speaker, our agriculture system in the White House Division will receive a boost from JSIF through the Ready To program, where we are to receive in short order 6 greenhouses that will serve the communities in the area. Madam Speaker, Westmoreland Eastern is blessed to have a factory in operation. This factory is expected to process approximately 70,000 pounds of pineapple per week. Most, if not all, will be from local farmers in Westmoreland Eastern. Pineapples will not be the only fruits processed at the factory, but also many other local grown produce. Through the PIP program at RADA, several farmers have received broiler chickens, feeds, along with fertilizers. 10 farmers have also received water tanks and irrigation system through RADA to tackle the upcoming drought season. Madam Speaker, farmers have also received Irish potato and cash crops. To top it off, Madam Speaker, my office has also helped numerous farmers with agricultural tools, fertilizers, seedlings, baby chicks, and feed. Sporting and other activities help to get our youths actively engaged. Madam Speaker, as it relates to sports, in Westmoreland Eastern, the Bag Sporting Complex was a home away from home for many youths. Madam Speaker, lack of management has caused the rapid deterioration of the complex, which is now a feeding ground for cows, donkey, and goats. I am very pleased, Madam Speaker, to announce that I have written to the Honourable Minister Olivia Babs-Grange, really concerned at the sporting complex. Madam Speaker, not only did I get a quick response to the letter I sent to Minister, but also on Friday, October 22nd, 2021, the project officer from Sports Development Foundation have assessed the complex and plans are in place for its rehabilitation. My constituents will soon have proper cricket pitch, football field, netball court to play our friendly and competitive games and to produce world-class champions. Madam Speaker, we are taking actions and getting results. Westmoreland Eastern is one of the major players in the tourism industry. With the support of one of the largest chains of hotels in Jamaica, Sandal South Coast, with the complement of other bed and breakfast which extend across the constituency, and also is one of the fastest growing industry in the constituency. It is my intention to ensure and promote adequate security, community tourism, heritage and cultural tourism with the help from TPDCO and other stakeholders. We are looking at a renewed approach to tourism and its byproduct, which will manifest itself sooner rather than later. Madam Speaker, White House is the largest commercial town in Westmoreland Eastern and is being more and more congested day by day. Therefore, I have reached out to the Factories Corporation of Jamaica, who owns a portion of land in the White House, to establish a commercial town outside of the present town. Today, Madam Speaker, I am glad to report that Factories Corporation has responded favorably and plans are in place to lessen the congestion in the White House Town Centre. This may take some time, but we will get our desired results. Yes. Madam Speaker, I pause to make special recognition to our very own Minister of Finance, Minister Nigel Clark, who is a product of the beautiful parish of Westmoreland. And to be exact, Madam Speaker, Westmoreland Eastern, who have been doing a tremendous job. I want to acknowledge the many great initiatives he has implemented, which have helped to alleviate the crippling impact of the pandemic on the most vulnerable. The We Care program was one of the many programs which has caused a rush on the internet during the application period. This, Madam Speaker, has helped many persons in the constituency, which to date are still grateful. In addition, we are assisting many constituents with care packages in an ongoing effort to ease the burden of the pandemic. We know, Madam Speaker, that we cannot entirely ease the pressure brought on by the pandemic, but as my granny always said, every mickle make a muckle. Thank you, Minister. Madam Speaker, an estimated 25% of individuals in Westmoreland Eastern have contributed to the significant amount of informal settlement in this area. Constituents living in such situation experiencing disadvantages by shortage of basic infrastructure, security, among other things. Thus, there is a dire need to tackle and overcome this problem. This, Madam Speaker, has prompted me to act swiftly in finding solutions. We have identified ownership of land which are being used for informal settlement. Currently, we are working with UDC and the Housing Agency of Jamaica to regularize these settlements. Madam Speaker, Westmoreland Eastern is set to benefit from the Hope Housing Program. While we cannot help everyone with new homes in the interim, we are assisting with minor repairs to housing structures across the entire constituency. Over 35 persons have already received benefit. Westmoreland Eastern have a bright future in the making, Madam Speaker. In concluding, Madam Speaker, My stewardship is guided by resilience, hard work, determination, diligence, persistence, and innovation. I also want to encourage my constituents to remain steadfast and trust the process. As I remain devoted to the task at hand, while working with the constituents to improve roads, social development, agriculture, education, and security. Madam Speaker, as I continue this diligent journey, I pray that Almighty God will forever grant me with wisdom, understanding, good health to carry out my duties. God bless the people of Westmoreland Eastern. God bless Jamaica. Thank you.
I am member, House Leader. Goods.
Madam Speaker, I would certainly like to thank the presenters this afternoon to the constituency debate, MPs Anthony Hylton, Mikael Phillips, and Daniel Lawrence. Madam Speaker, we continue tomorrow with the constituency debate. Madam Speaker, we continue tomorrow with the constituency debate when MPs Julian Robinson, Dennis Daly, and Hugh Graham will make their contribution. So at this time, Madam Speaker, I now ask that the debate be suspended.
Members, just before we suspend the debate, I too want to join with the acting House Leader in congratulating all our presenters for excellent presentations. And I did not wish to disturb the maiden presentation of the member from Eastern Westmoreland, but I just want to say that when the acting House Leader stood for a point of order, I thought his language was more a figurative expression and not offensive or insulting to any member. And I really want to make the point, because I do think very carefully that it was figurative. It was not offensive or insulting to anyone. And as his maiden presentation, when I spoke to being gentle to each of us, that is what I want to encourage, because we have had on both sides new members of Parliament, and we want to encourage them as they make their contributions to this Parliament. Thank you very much. The question before this House is that we do adjourn until tomorrow, the 3rd of November, when the State of the Constituency debate will continue with other items on our agenda. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. This House is now adjourned.
Madam Speaker, no, I no move for the adjournment. We have no further business, Madam Speaker, so I no move for the adjournment of the House until tomorrow, Wednesday, the 3rd of November.
I went ahead of myself. The question before the House now is that the House do adjourn until tomorrow at 2 o'clock, when the business of the House will continue. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes.